But because the truth of the matter is that you are each and every one of you a divine being manifested in a physical body, which in a way does not completely describe it because this dynamic of this spark of the divine that exists within you exists beyond the dynamics of your physicality. This is the everlasting, this is the eternal piece of yourself. And so if you're on a dynamic, every your lives, these journeys of your lives, you may think that they're bad and wrong, or that they've been painful, or they've been this, or they've been that, but they've been exactly what you have chosen. Now, what you really want is the dynamic of the abundance that winning a lottery would give you. In other words, you're looking for that energy of freedom. And because you are a divine being manifested in the physical body, from our perspective, you're entitled to have that. And that would mean that everybody is entitled to have that, which is why we have often talked about the dynamics of the big five: food, water, shelter, healthcare, education, getting beyond those survival dynamics, allowing the individual to each have an equal start within the dynamics of your world, and then allow that dynamic to flourish in such a way as to grow upon itself. And, but then that would means that everybody has to be acceptable. You have to accept the dynamics of that divinity within each person. Now, does that mean allow them to bully you, or allow them to, what shall we say, be irrational? No. It requires a higher level of responsibility, not a lower one. So the truth of the matter is, this longing for winning the lottery is completely in line with your divine nature. How about that one? And that's for all of you. Now, you aren't taught that. If you had been taught that when you were children, when you were infants, you would have a whole different perspective on life and energy. And is that not really what's going on in your world right now? There's the dynamic of the human perspective, and then there's the dynamic of the power perspective. Mm.
So you started this out by saying we're sort of in the middle of this change of this
Well,
energy.
what would you say it is? You look at the crap that's going on in Minneapolis, you look at the dynamics of the huge amounts of fraud and theft that are being exposed right
Mhm.
now, as far as that dynamic of energy, to realize that your government, both left and right, and maybe all the governments, are so corrupt that they have been wasting millions and billions of your dollars on making other people seemingly win the lottery while you're not. And isn't that what Jennifer was talking about as far as the dynamic of the CIA and the lottery and all of that stuff? Go ahead, Jen.
So, okay, I think it was more of a disappointment. So something that was a previously held belief that, could win the lottery. And now that I've been seeing, Jeffrey Epstein won, through some LLC, won some sort of jackpot to fund, and so I think the illusion of
Fairness.
fairness, that's it. Fairness is the word I was looking for. You're right. The integrity of things that I held in high regard before. I thought that, everything was fair. And it's the world is not fair.
You know,
So
but
then
you all
I
came
get
from
back
that.
to the, pardon me?
You all came from that.
The
You
fair,
all you all
the,
really had that naive belief in the beginning, no matter it might have been your childhood, it might have been your adolescence, you know, at what stage of your life did you learn that in fact they had it out for you, that they weren't on your side, you know? And so, you know, each of you in your own way have discovered that and discovered that dynamic of energy. It's called maturity. It's called maturity. You're being naive. You're being innocent. You know, too much in the light shadow. You think that people are going to do and be what they say they are. But how many, you know, and here's the tough question we often ask, you know, on your best day, how many times a day did you lie? Even about little shit. Even about little shit. How many times a day did you move beyond integrity? Now, very few in your world can say that, no, I actually operate on that dynamic of integrity, that dynamic of truth. Adrian.
This includes lying to myself.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Because often, well, but again, you know, if you had been brought up in the dynamics of truth, if you had been brought up in the dynamics of respecting, here, how about respecting human life? You know, everything that we teach is we say there's no big, dying is no big thing. And yet, most of you are terrified of it. So, because the truth is that you are this, find this spark of the divine within you, and you will find your immortality.
Hmm.